Okay, we're back. So, picking up where we left off, you know, and I thought they were going to take everything, and that wasn't the case at all. Um, it actually, everything worked out just perfectly. Um, I had all of my debt gone, everything that I had been carrying around for years, and my credit is back up to 700, 705. I don't need any credit cards anymore, and I think everyone is afraid of, like, when they hear the word bankruptcy and all these things. And it was the best decision I ever made. I remember walking out of the room with my lawyer when all the paperwork was finalized, and he turned to me and he goes, "This is the first day of your new beginnings." And I was like, and I can't tell you guys the amount of relief that I felt. And there was an interesting stat that we wrote down, that the average millionaire um, has filed for bankruptcy an average of 3.5 times, for whatever reasons there were. Like, mine was not. This was personal bankruptcy leading to business bankruptcy. So it for some people would have been a traumatic thing, but my life has been a rocket ship. I mean, the year and a half before that, but the 2 years after, I've been on this rocket ship of a journey of where life is going. So, that my stress is, I mean, my stress isn't gone. I mean, there's always money is always floating around there, but all of the debt and all of the things, all the monkeys that were on my back, they're gone. So don't be afraid to do certain things to better yourself. If the best, I would meet with a financial advisor. I would meet with a bankruptcy attorney. If you're drowning in your business, it's okay if it didn't work. You can go do something else, start a new business, work for someone else if you have to, or just maybe take a break for a little while with the savings that you have, because I was tapping into savings. It was bad, but it gave me my life back. So, everyone sees my life now, but you guys don't know what I've been through. And it's okay that you don't, but, going from millionaire to 1.6 million in debt to having to file for bankruptcy, all of these things, and I'm still standing. It just says that you can overcome anything that you want to. I was tired of that story that I was living in. I didn't want to live in that story anymore. So I closed that chapter and I started writing a new one. So, number two, and this is true, monetary relationships are inherited. So I want you to talk about that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, without going into too many personal details, I grew up in a family where, money was in and money went quickly out the door. I mean, didn't know a lot about saving and managing finances, at all. And so I didn't really have a great relationship with money, like, ever. And that's just how I grew up. And there's nothing, you know, really wrong with that. It's just, I think early on it would have been smart for me to probably spend some more time learning about money, instead of running from it and not wanting to face it or deal with it. I think there's many people out there, and again, in researching this topic, there's different types of people. There are people who are really good with money and they know how to budget appropriately and they know how to cut costs and they know how to really keep things structured, and that's what they're great at, and they love to face it head on, and that's awesome. And then there's other people who kind of like to dance around it and kind of turn a blind eye sometimes, and then when they
get that bill, it's
that
right
bill
over
in the
there.
mail, and it's like, I'm gonna like maybe somebody calls me about it, and I'll like pay for it. They have the money. Which, again, it's very interesting. And I look back at, some of my family members, and it was like somebody else had to kind of help them with that. And Again, everyone's raised a little differently, but it's safe to say that we're going to go over some stats that are pretty incredible for America, and it's really sad, about debt and everything. But the way that your parents spend money, the way that you see your parents spend money,
Talk
and
about
talk
money.
about money, and are stressed about money and working and everything. I mean, you can't help but that kind of comes down to you as well. So that's what we want to get raw and real about. And not a lot of people are good with money, and anybody can make a budget any day of the week, but as far as your relationship with it, wanting more of it, guys, guess what, it's okay to want money. That's the whole thing. Like, if you have more money, you get to do more things with your life. You get to do more wonderful things. You get to give more to people. You get to have time freedom. Like, who doesn't want money? But so many of us believe that money is a bad thing. And I'm just going to throw a book out there. And it's the book that Scott actually got me on our first date. And it's called You're a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. If anyone is on a monetary journey, whether it's your relationship, whether it's maybe working through some things, read this freaking book. It will make you immediately feel better because you can relate to her. She's basically living like almost out of her car or something. And she really skyrocketed forward because she's like, I need to make a change and I got to go forward. I will tell you, too, the other thing that I had mentioned to Scott, 9 times out of 10, when people make a skyrocket move forward, they literally propel their life forward. Couple things usually happen, right? You hit rock bottom, right? It could be financially, it could be something, but something knocks you on your ass to make you wake up and realize that something needs to change, okay? It completely destroys people sometimes, like absolutely destroys people. Or they rise above and like a phoenix, they come out of the flames and they're like, you know what? I'm going to fucking figure this out and I'm going to be way better for it. And that's the lesson I'm going to teach people, and I'm going to share my story. The other thing is whenever people die or someone close to you, goes away, right? So those are a couple things that usually happen that are pinnacle turning points in people's lives. So we have to wait for something so horrible to happen to really make us wake up and want to be better. So we're kind of on here saying, like, it's not too late. If you are in a tough situation and you feel like you can't get out and you're clawing, there are always solutions. There are always things that you can do. And we're going to talk about at the end some of these solutions, but I'll just put it out there that something that I recently did is I reached out to, I don't know if you guys have heard of Dave Ramsey, but he's got this whole program. I mean, he does this thing where, he works with couples and people, who are, loaded with debt and are really going through some things. I mean, he had this amazing story on his podcast about like a couple that both went to med school, and between them both, they had like $400,000 in debt. And he worked with them to get them out of debt and to like just be an amazing place. So anyway, I went on there and they had a spot where it was like, all right, do you need a coach to kind of help coach you through some things and maybe make some good decisions, whether it's wealth management, whether it's debt management, whether it's whatever, there's someone to help you with everything. So if you were literally sitting, you might be sitting on a lot of money coming in, you're not really sure what to do with it. Even whenever I was making good money, I was not spending it wisely. I was not saving it. I wasn't heavily paying into my student loans like I should have. I was just like, oh, okay, more clothes and this and that and like frivolous, stupid shit. And I look back on it now, I'm like, what the hell were you thinking, But again, like, this is a learning. I am learning a big lesson right now. And I think so many other people need to learn that lesson because, again, we're going to go through some of these stats and they were so eye-opening to me. And something needs to happen. But there are trainings, there's coaches, there are people out there that are worth the investment so that you can get back on track and you can actually face it instead of avoid it.
Yeah, most people's monetary situations as adults are streamlined from what you saw and what you inherited as children. My parents both worked. My mom was not a stay-at-home mom. She worked in retail. Still, she works. My dad owned a couple different businesses until we had the family business. But, I watched my sister till my mom would get home from work. At 5 o'clock, she would immediately start making dinner. My dad would be home by 7. We would have family dinner. So the work ethic was always there in me. Like I knew the meaning of working hard, but that was my monetary story. There are other people that didn't have that. Their lives might have been filled with struggle, or living paycheck to paycheck, or not being able to buy certain things. But what I can tell you is that no matter what monetary life you were brought into, just as Nancy said, it could be changed. You can relearn new habits and new ways. Don't be afraid. Number 3, don't be afraid to ask for help. Whether that's investing, meeting with a financial planner, a financial advisor.
It could even be meeting with a career coach.
Yeah.
Maybe you never thought of options like, oh, I'm really good
and Debbie says it's hard when you are living paycheck to paycheck,
yes,
month after month,
and
just to survive.
Almost all Americans are.
So what are some of the stats that
you want me
you
to throw them out?
Yeah. Just so we always do research on what we want to discuss, and these are up to date. These were at the end of 2017, so they're just almost a year old.
Actually, there's one on here that's 2018.
2018. So these are very, very, very recent. So they were alarming to us. We were just like, holy shit. Like I think that we all have to just come together as a society and realize that there is a monetary epidemic going on.
Well, my biggest thing, and I swear, once I get out of my little hole, I'm gonna raise the flag on student loan debt and just people graduating.
It's real.
It's okay, I know some people's parents pay for their student loans, but most of them don't, or there's some kind of burden on them when they graduate from college. But there is nothing worse than going through college and feeling okay, this is great, and being slapped with 10 bills, and being okay, you gotta pay this now. Oh, you want to move out of the house, you gotta pay this, and now you gotta pay your car, and it's you have to pay all these things, and it's almost wait, why am I in this? And they call it the Matrix or the rat race or whatever, and it's how did I go to this college to do all these great things, and I come out, I get spit out at the end, and now I am
in
more
debt.
Stressed. I am more in debt. I am
go to
more
college to get in debt.
And it's I remember feeling before I graduated from college, it was the semester before I was about to graduate, and I was thinking in my head, I'm I have to freaking pay back. And I was just trying to wrap my mind around it. And I swear, we always talk about when you set goals, try to stay laser focused, pick on what you need, and stay. I had my sights set on a job that I knew I could make, $48,000, $50,000 a year, dollars a year. I would not say no. They interviewed me, they had to give me that job because that's what I needed to survive and to get by and to pay off my loans. So, and that's what I did. And it was really funny because my whole story with getting that job with that company, I actually the first interview went a couple things went whatever. And it's I had to try and scrape and kick and scream to actually get that job. But once I got it, it did exactly what I wanted it to.
Look what Dave said. I had 4 businesses, went bankrupt twice, lost everything, and my wife left, started over again for the 3rd time, all by myself. My parents gave me nothing, not a dime.
Good for you.
And Dave is a testament that if you have resolve, you are going to find a way. He wasn't willing, and Dave's not alone. I've been down that road before, and everyone feels like their financial situation, they're the only one in that financial situation in the world. And it's not true. It's not true. And he goes, I am happy to get a chance to start again. Absolutely.
And it's I am such a proponent. I mean, after just going through quitting my job and starting a business and everything, debt just always feels icky to me. And I was reading in a thing that it's especially for women, right? I guess women deal with debt almost in a way they accrue a lot of debt sometimes, but they have this mentality, and it was a podcast I was listening to, that they just that's always weighing on them. It's a constant thing that's on their to-do list. I can't have this. I can't have this. Anyway, I want to go over some of these stats just to share with you guys how intense this is. And honestly, Like once I get through my battle and I, work on things and I conquer through, I'm going to freaking write a blog. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to like.
Before we go over these stats, type Y or yes in the chat box if you are currently feeling the pressure and the stress of money.
Or in any way.
Or have you ever in your life ever been stressed about money? Because, we're going to see basically anybody on here. Everyone should be. I don't think there's ever a time in any of our lives where we haven't had to worry about money at some point. And when we realize that we're not alone in this, we are all in this together in different situations. Nancy D. Hi, Nancy D. says yes. And we've all been through it. And once we can realize that we're all in this together and we don't turn a blind eye to it.
And I just want to throw this out there too, that I always say to Scott, and it's like sometimes I need to just listen to my own, my own words. Everything in life is figure outable. Everything can be solved. I'm going to give you a story. I read this whole book on, how people deal with their finances in America. And it was a journal. It was like a little, they actually, followed a few couples that were dealing with different things. And they journaled each day about what money they spent and how much debt they had and whatever. And in the journal, it actually talked about a girl who was, again, she was barely scraping by. She didn't have health insurance and she came down with cancer. She got cancer. Feeling horrible. She was scared. She didn't know what to do. Didn't have health insurance. So she goes to a friend or she goes to the actual hospital. The hospital says, you are in actually better shape because you don't have health insurance, because the hospital is going to go ahead and cover, these expenses for your chemo and cancer because they have a special program for that. Guys, there are solutions. There's help out there. There are grants. There are funds. There are programs.
There's a solution to every problem.
Yes. And the thing is, there's so many things out there. It's just sometimes you just have to take that chance. Like today, so what I did is, because I'm prepping for my financial meeting on Thursday, I'm going to sit down with my advisor and we're going to kind of hash out a plan of what we're going to do, with taxes and debt and whatever, and how we're going to kind of attack everything. And as I'm going through, I felt better because I'm looking it in the face and I'm like, all right, in the last year, starting my business, here's expenses, here's whatever, here's, whatever. It made me feel better because I actually can see what I'm working with. I have a goal, it's more clear, it's clear and it's right there.
POA.
And before that, I was just hiding in a little corner and I didn't even want to deal with it because that's my relationship with money and it needs to be better. And that's my journey. I mean, this is my chapter. I'm totally working on growing with this. But we're going to share some stats with you guys.
And you have to have a POA, which is a plan of action. Most people
don't hide from it.
No, I mean, listen, if you have debt, deal with it. If you have credit card debt, deal with it. If you have student loan debt, deal with it. If you have a failing business, deal with it. None of those things, and here's the thing, here's the funny thing about money. Nothing is going to get better monetarily if you don't do something about it. Because the longer you wait, the more credit card interest, student loan interest, if nothing is improving your business, it's going to be decreasing every single month. And Dave says, I'm going to make this network marketing thing work. I will never give up. And that's the thing. Dave decided that network marketing was going to be his vehicle. He had a plan of action. And just to go back to Linda, she said she was beyond stressed about money when she made the choice to leave Venezuela after 15 years and realized I had nothing, not a dime to start my life over in Canada. Where there's a will, there's a way through, and I'm starting to breathe again.
Yep.
And that's it. So guys, you're hearing all these stories. I filed for bankruptcy. Dave did. Linda started over with nothing. So Debbie filed for bankruptcy. So we're all on the same page. And it's so funny. We were reading something, and here the average millionaire also drives either a Ford or a Cadillac. Interestingly enough. And the average age of a millionaire is 61 years old. So here's the thing. millionaires have a different mindset. So do billionaires. It was interesting. I was listening to something by Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
And he was getting interviewed, and he said the guy that was interviewing Jay-Z, he said what would the billionaire Jay-Z, who is the present one, say to the millionaire Jay-Z from years ago? And he said, there's no reason for all the fancy cars, jewelry, and clothes. And he goes, I'm much more comfortable wearing t-shirt and warm-up pants. Because and his whole point was, he goes, the more money I've made, the simpler my life has become. If you think about it, Mark Zuckerberg, he wears a t-shirt and jeans every day. Bill Gates, same thing. Steve Jobs wore a black turtleneck, blue jeans, and white sneakers. And I'm like, I mean, Nancy will tell you, I have 3 pairs of jeans.
And like the same shirts on rotation.
Yeah, and I do. I wear, I'm not like I wash my clothes, but I don't need a lot of stuff. I used to have 20 watches. I wear 1 watch. It's the watch that she gave me. This is the only watch I wear. And the thing is that the more money you end up making, the more you can do with it, and the more simply you're going to find, the more simply you're going to live. And we both have a passion for giving and giving back, tipping extra, perfect example. I always make a point to tip more than 20%, because I know that the life of a server, it's tough. They get paid very, very little money hourly. And I know most of their money comes off of tips, and you've been in the service industry.
Tips.
So I always make a point to tip between 25 to 30%, no matter what the bill is. And tonight we were at a great restaurant, Farm to Table Steakhouse in Philadelphia. And I noticed below the tip was a section for a nonprofit that they partnered with. And do you want to add additional money for that? And I was about to set the bill aside, and I'm like, you know what? Even if it's a couple dollars, it still makes a difference. And I can afford to give a little bit more. And so I donated a couple extra dollars. I do the same thing at Rite Aid's and CVS when that little thing, do you want to donate $1? Mm-hmm. I donate $1. And here's the thing, the more money you have, the more that you can do with it. Now, that can go one of 2 ways. People that have a lot of money, they might want to do certain things with it, like buy big houses and fancy cars and all these things. And then there's other people that, we have the same mentality. As our money increases, we're thinking, how can we make this money work for us? How can we invest this better? I just opened up a 401k. She's going to be opening up her own 401k. We're looking at houses not only to buy for ourselves, but also as investments. And that was the big thing. The stat was the most millionaires usually buy Fords or Cadillacs is because they see cars as not an investment. They just need something to get around from point A to point B. They don't need a flashy, you have to understand there's a psychology behind money. So if someone needs to buy a really, really fancy, expensive car where they're driving, because what are people going to say? That guy's rich. But some of the most wealthy people in the world drive Toyotas, and I'm not putting down I'm not putting down these makes or models, but their money means something completely different to them. So whatever you want your life to look like and whatever you want to bring into it, you have to figure out, what does money mean to you? We were not, and I've said this in posts, we were not born to struggle. We were not born to live paycheck to just scrape by, to just, how's work going? Well, it's paying the bills. You don't get a job to pay your bills. You start a career to create a life for yourself and your family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So number 4. Oh, let's go over your stats first before number 4.
Oh,
then
well,
we'll go
really
into that.
quickly, I was just going to say the funny thing, if you guys haven't watched it and you have HBO, the Warren Buffett documentary had me like in tears.
It's a game.
Yeah, no, the way that he like feels about money is it was just something that he was really fascinated by at an early age, and he just became really good at it. And I mean, this guy is a bajillionaire. I mean, he's billions and billions and billions of dollars. And he talked about, his wife was actually on there. So his wife passed away, but she was, you know, on the early part of the documentary. And she just said he lived the most simple life. You know, he drove the most simple car. He wore the most simple clothes. Like he never lived lavishly. He lived how he wanted to. But his work and everything was enjoyable to him. And the thing that worked me up so much was at the end, his wife had passed away. And some of the regrets that he had was that he wished, you know, he had more time with her, and that he had kind of spent a lot of time in business. But one thing that she taught him is how important it was to give back to people and to help others and to do things to really, you know, make an impact. And if you have that much money and you can change an entire area's situation just by, you know, putting something into it. So he ended up he signed a thing, and he actually started this with other millionaires. Even Mark Zuckerberg's a part of it, whatever. He gave billions of dollars away, all to charities and all to foundations. And in fact, I think the biggest chunk went to Bill Gates and his wife's foundation. And he said, my wife, you know, taught me I need to do something. No man should have this much money. And he gave it away. And all his kids, every single one of his kids is involved in a charitable organization and does things. And they each have their passion. And it made me tear up, because it's like, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. You know, it's just.
No, it feels good to, like, we were talking about some things last night in bed that I totally forgot about. Cause like we were getting coffee and I saw this postcard for the Rest in Peace 5K run, which just happened. And I'm like, this is the race that I helped organize about 9 years ago. And we laid in bed last night and talked about it for like a half hour. And she goes, you have to like write this stuff down.
Like, I just thought it was so cool, because I'm like, wait, this 401k that like thousands of people do.
5K run.
Oh, 5K run. What did I say? 401k?
I started a financial account for everybody.
Yeah, we're going to start a 401k to help people, you know. No, but like Scott was talking about, I mean, he started this huge event now that happens every year, you know, that they run around this whole cemetery, which is like so cool. You know, everybody dresses up in costumes. But he had like, he used to run, you know, around the cemetery every day, you know, just going for a jog. And he's like, it'd be really cool to like do something, you know, neat and like give back to like the grounds and whatever, and just totally formed it. And it's still amazing to this day. So anyway, I was like, you need to write these things. That's really cool. So anyway, I'm still learning about Scott, you know, almost a year later. I'm like, who are you?
Yeah, well, I mean, so like I would go for, you know, Harry Callis is buried there, and a lot of famous Philadelphians are buried in this cemetery.
Cool cemetery.
It was directly across the street from my gym. So I would go for runs in there, and they're a nonprofit. So I stopped in the office one day, and I'm like, we should do something together. Like, have you guys ever thought about doing a run or something? And we came up with the Rest in Peace 5K run. And it supports the grounds for the Laurel Hill Cemetery. You can go to rip5k.org. They've been going on for 9 years now, and I think since the inception of when we started it, I think they've raised close to $100,000 for their grounds. And you know, because that's, you know, they have crazy enough, their grounds the lawn needs to be cut every 3 days. So there's different sections. But if anyone remembers the Rocky Balboa, when he was sitting by Adrian's gravestone, it was actually filmed at Laurel Hill Cemetery, and Adrian Balboa, the gravestone is still in there.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, yeah, like Transformers was filmed in there. Like a lot of cool things were filmed in there. So, you know, I said, let's start this run, and it's at dusk in October, and it's a costume 5K. So it's family friendly. Everyone comes dressed in costume. And, you know, they get 200-300 runners now, and I didn't do it to, like, I didn't make any money, like, and I wasn't doing it for that, but even seeing something come to fruition and start a run and see people lining out the door to come in to run around this cemetery, that feels even better.
It just goes to show you, though, like it just takes one person to start something cool.
And it happens.
Yeah,
and it happens.
Pretty neat. Stats. All right, so we're gonna go over some stats. All right, so I was looking this up actually while we were at dinner, but the facts are, and this is from I think 2016. Okay, so some are a little old, but 76 million Americans are struggling financially or just getting by.
76 million people.
More than, okay, and this is like 2017, more than 40% of Americans describe themselves, and this is, that actually came out and said that they're struggling to keep ahead of their bills.
So almost 1 out of every 2 people.
Okay. Average household credit card debt is about $5,000, with the median at $16,000. Over $16,000. Personal loans and miscellaneous debt is over $10,000 per household. Average combined household total, we're talking just like total, is over $139,500. In 2018, this one was pretty astounding. With nearly 248 million Americans over 18 years old, the average debt per person, like for a credit card, was $3,353 per person.
Wow.
We already went over the millionaire stat, and yeah, I mean,
it says half of all millionaires
own their own business.
50% of millionaires in the United States own their own business or they're self-employed. So those are just some stats. So here's the other thing. Don't ever limit yourself because of your educational or life past. So like, if you don't have a college degree, you don't have a high school degree, you don't have a PhD, any of that. We were watching Impact Theory the other day. Actually, no, we were watching Ed Milet, and he was interviewing Tom Bilyeu from Impact Theory, and Tom Bilyeu took the SATs twice and combined. His best combined score was 950. And I said, Nancy, I'm like, I didn't do much better. I got
don't think I did either.
I got a 950 and an 890.
I think I got a 990.
And I just wasn't a good standardized test like I had a good GPA. I wasn't a good test taker. But whether you're educated or not, PhD or not, master's degree or not, high school diploma or not, that should not determine if you're going to be successful or not. What determines your success is you. If you want something, you have to go and get it yourself. Nothing is going to be handed to you at all. So don't limit yourself because of the household that you grew up. If you grew up in a broke household, you don't have to grow up in one. You don't have to live in one. You don't have to raise your kids in one. You just have to change your story by changing your thoughts and changing your relationship with money. Once you start embracing money, realizing that it's not bad to have a lot of money and have more money to do more with, then you start finding ways of how you can create it.
Yep. No, it's so incredibly true. I've heard of cases of people, who basically use the excuse. I mean, I've heard everything from, oh, well, I majored in this specific major, so I have to have a job in that thing. And then they're frustrated because they're literally, spinning tires and not even, getting a job interview or anything. And they're just basically stuck there because they think that's what they have to do. It's crazy to me because you can get a job with any kind of major. You just got to kind of keep looking and whatever. Here's the other thing. You don't have the experience, right? Looking for jobs right there on the thing, it'll say 3 to 5 years experience in marketing and There are still ways you can network with people, you can meet people, you can get into companies. Like, I'm telling you, there's ways. Like, I can kid you not. Like, I actually have a friend who was in a position, it was a crazy retail schedule, awful hours, whatever. Said he always wanted to do something, maybe in HR, high level, whatever. Ended up going on LinkedIn and just started networking like crazy with people. Whenever I say networking, actually reaching out to them and saying, hey, I'm really interested in what you do. Let's talk, right? So he ended up talking to people who knew people who knew people who knew what he wanted, right? Because he knew what he wanted and he put it out there. He ended up talking with a guy who was the head of this company. It was like this crazy tech company, and had the most amazing conversation, said what he wanted to do. The guy's like, you're a cool dude. If I have a position ever open, I'm going to reach out to you because I know you. We've had a conversation. Everybody speaks highly of you. He ended up getting offered this job that was literally like 4 rungs above what he was doing because of who he was and because of his networking and because he went and put himself out there. So many people can do this too. And even if you've got to start here and then kind of work your way up for the experience, you want to be a copywriter. Okay, cool. Go be a junior copywriter, and kind of build it up. Think about the long game. Think about what you truly want. And that's where I'm at right now. I've got to figure out, I'm in the zone where I'm like, I got to figure out exactly what I want. And I kind of got away from my dream. I sat down with Scott. This was like almost like 6-7 months ago, but like, I want to have my own coffee shop. We talked about, we want a coffee shop. We want like a house that can have some land, we can grow vegetables and fruit and, have things. And it's like, there are specific things that I really want to have, and I don't want to have any debt. Like I want to get myself, in an amazing place where money is just not a worry. And that's a goal of mine. So kind of reevaluating your goals. And if you feel like you're kind of treading your, like nothing's happening and you're kind of in the same place and you might be frustrated on a daily basis about money, think of some things. Start thinking outside the box. What are some things that you can do? There's a book, and it's funny. I don't know if my mom's still on here or not, but I read it. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. And I think I'm going to go back and read it again because this book is just, it's all about putting your mind to something and having unshakable faith that no matter what happens, like it's going to happen and you're going to achieve that goal. And it talks about how there's limitless wealth. There's an abundance of money. There's an abundance of success for everyone. I mean, think about Warren Buffett. Billions and billions and billions of dollars, okay, this guy had, and he continued to have more. And he never stopped. He's like, okay, I know how to do this thing. It's easy now, But like, it's out there for everyone. And if what you're doing right now isn't working, maybe you need to hire a coach. Maybe you need to, revisit some things that you had maybe planned on, a few years ago and you got away from. Maybe as a family, it might be a good idea to sit down and look at your budget and be freaking real with each other. I've heard cases of women, okay, and men having so many fights about money that like women will buy shoes or buy something and they hide it, right? Like they hide it in the closet, or they feel shameful. Tell them
that, they have a separate credit card that they don't know about, so the husband doesn't see the statements.
And there's this shame, stuff happening, whatever. I was actually listening to an impact theory. Actually, they do a relationship theory with Tom Bilyeu and his wife. And she had said, so she's a stay-at-home wife. They actually don't have kids. They have little dogs, but they made the decision that she was going to be the stay-at-home wife and she was going to handle all the household things, meaning make sure bills are paid, make sure the house finances are in order, make sure everything is whatever. They had that conversation. And whenever money became an issue where she actually started feeling angst and anxiety because she felt like, well, I have to ask for money because I'm not the one physically making it. She said she knew there was an issue and it had to be discussed. Because if you make that decision together, that's the structure you're going to have, and one person's going to stay at home and the other person's going to work, it needs to be a reoccurring conversation to make sure you're on the same page, because she shouldn't have to feel that way. She's working her ass off also to make sure everything's in line. Yeah. There's women out there who manage the whole household and have 2 kids, 3 kids, 1 kid, and they're busting their butt all day long to just deal with that. So everybody just needs to make sure they're on the same page and communicate about finances and not hide, and be honest about it and be open, because no one person should be struggling and the other person's over here. And here's the thing, like a lot of times, like if money is such an issue, like it's almost like raising kids, I think, a little bit, like, right? Like 2 people could have completely different opinions on how you spend money, how you save money, how you, treat money. There needs to be a conversation and there needs to be a happy medium with how it's going to go down. And there are many ways that it can go down. So
You're on fire.
sorry, I just like went on a
No, that was
but
great.
like that's what I want, and that's, I think it's important.
I mean, this live's for both of us, but like she had some like more to share than me, but I think that's good because like you deserve to get it out there. So just to reiterate, again, number one of the biggest causes of stress and relationship enders is money. So start to focus on what are the issues. Monetary relationships are inherited. So you can change that story. Don't ever be afraid to ask for help, whether it's a friend, whether it's downloading something.
Like I said, the Dave Ramsey website, just go to Dave Ramsey, Google him or whatever. There's a link on there where you can actually reach out for financial help. And guys, if you look at it and you go, oh, $200 for coaching, I'm going to say that word, it's fucking worth it.
Yeah.
If it can help you get your shit together, and I'm saying, I'm not an advocate for putting shit on your credit card, but if you have to like just pay for this thing to pay for it, to actually get your shit together, because you literally don't know what to do or where to start or how to spend things, and you've got this stuff and you've got these bills and you've got, money that you don't know what to do with, ask for help. It's okay.
Yeah.
I ask for help.
Me too. And number 4, never limit yourself because of your education or lack thereof, or your life past. You can change your story. So the one question that we want to leave you guys with, that we want you to think about tonight, and we really want you to think about this. You can message us. You can write back in here when you come up with the answer. But what you need to ask yourself is, what is my relationship with money? Maybe this is something that you haven't asked yourself yet. Maybe this is something that you're running away from. Maybe this is something that you're afraid to actually look in the mirror about. Maybe a lot of the issues that are going on in your life right now between your spouse and your family and your kids are related to the money or lack thereof. So I'll let you finish. So take this thing head on. Ask yourself, what is my relationship with money? And Debbie says, complicated as hell. So do a brain dump. Debbie, write down, like in a notebook, why is your relationship with money complicated? How can you simplify it? So I'll let you finish while I throw him in the trash can.
So the one thing I wanted to add, for me, the money thing, even whenever I was making a ton, more money and everything was incredibly secure financially, and I wasn't this entrepreneur, up and down, money has always been a cyclical thing for me. It's always been a cyclical frustration, right? It's always been this thing where it's like, hey, it'll come back around and it'll be like, hey, or something will happen and it'll be like, hey, money, and whether it's self-sabotaging or, lessons that I feel like I'm always learning, it always comes for me. And I think everybody's always trying to learn a new lesson. It could be like Scott always said, his was like people, his new lesson is always like dealing with people. Like certain types of people.
Yes.
Mine is money. And it's one of those puzzles. And I told Scott tonight, I'm at dinner, I'm like, this is a puzzle and I'm going to figure it out, because it keeps coming back around and it's my life lesson. It keeps knocking me around. And I love the quote that your purpose is in your pain. Mm. And my pain, is with money, and I am working and clawing and, working on making my relationship with money and the ability to say, like, I want money and I want to work really hard and I want to bust my butt, to get where I need to be, because the purpose is in your pain. Yeah. But yeah, and it's like, I want things. And I was telling Scott, like, I want more money. And this isn't me just like sunshine and rainbows, but like, I want more money so I can like do things for other people. Like, I love giving gifts. I love doing things for people that make them smile and make them happy. And it's like,
it's one of her love languages.
Yeah. And a lot of people like give the way that they like to receive, but like, I love making people smile and I love doing fun things. And I hate right now that I have anxiety that every holiday or birthday or thing that comes around gives me anxiety because I can't, and unless I make a craft or something, or do something, like I just feel like I don't want to be in this place, and it's giving me fuel to my fire to really rock it forward. And, again, like I said, I've got a lot of cool things going on. I've got my real estate business just starting, and I know I'm where I'm supposed to be. Like, I freaking love real estate and I love everything about it. And I love that I get to do my entrepreneur thing at the same time. And I actually love what I've done, with some of my other businesses. And it's like, things get hard sometimes. Life is not always easy, but there can be a solution to everything. And don't think that you're alone. Here I am. And it's like, I like held so much back. And once I finally just freaking dumped it out and I said, here's what I'm stressed about. My stomach hurts. I feel sick. I'm just like, I literally have, got myself sick about this stuff in the great scheme of things. And guys, we shared some numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm not alone. I know there's other people out there. I know there's people who are out there and all they have to deal with is student loan debt or, like just minor stuff, but they think it's so horrible. But there's so many people out there who just don't talk about it. And they're going through the same stuff. And the other thing I thought was really funny is most investors, we're talking about house investors, things like that. They're like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt at all times. It's all about like, you got to save stuff, build up the equity. It's like there is such a thing as good debt, but like if you don't have a good relationship with money and you don't have a good knowledge of money,
can't expect anything to change. You
can't. And it's time to make a change. And, again, we want to be so incredibly transparent with you guys because this might help someone else. And, everybody's got a story. Everybody's going through something. Not everybody's perfect. And I'm still happy, like I still love our life. And it's like, again, like even with all my stress and everything, like I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. So, there's good, in everything and it's all figure outable. So,
and remember, just ask yourself this question, what is my relationship with money? Once you can figure out why your relationship is what it is with money and you can figure out the solution to your problem, you've figured out the solution to create another life for yourself. You can close any chapter you want that doesn't feel good to start writing a new one that does. And Richard says, without money, there is no relationship. Save, control spending, invest, let money work for you.
Yep.
Absolutely. So guys, we appreciate you being on both of our lives tonight, part 1 and part 2. And if there's anything that you specifically would like us to cover or talk about in future relationship lives, we would love to hear from you. So for those that have been here for the full hour or however long we've been on here.
Yeah, it's about an hour.
We love you all so much. You're not alone in any of this. And if you guys need anything at all, don't hesitate to reach out. So happy Sunday. Enjoy. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody. If we can end it. We're ending it now. Bye.